So, not an impressive nose whatsoever after just coming off of what we did, but...
Yeah, that's the one downside, but...
Yeah, we started off on a real fucking high point here.
Yeah,
but
it's got oak, ethanol...
Little fruity. Just a little bit.
Yeah, it has a very slight cherry note, I would say. Like
it's the typical...
I would say like a cherry lip balm almost is like the best way to describe it.
Or like almost like a cherry cough drop or a cherry Jolly Rancher.
Mm-hmm.
Like an artificial cherry, not a true cherry.
Candy cherry.
But it's not a black cherry either.
No. A little bit of wood, a little bit of oak, a little bit of brown sugar and vanilla, but yeah, the most
overall basic. There's a lot of little flavors to it, but nothing that builds into something super complex.
Yeah, there's no complexity to it. On the taste, it's sweet.
It's light, no warmth.
Very light, very thin. It has a little bit of pepper to it, I want to say.
It's like a red pepper.
Yeah, I guess. It's because it is a little spicy. I don't know whether to say that that's just char spice or if it's...
I mean, that's knowing what this is, it's probably char spice, but it just has a peppery kind of flavor to it.
But it starts off sweet. You get a little bit of that char in the middle.
But it just... That's my only complaint is it just disappears.
Yeah, there's like really no finish on it whatsoever. You get brown sugar.
You get a very, very slight oak on the finish. Mm-hmm. That's like it. It just lingers a little bit and it's very, very light.
Like if I could explain the transition, I would say it goes from caramel to vanilla brown sugar to barrel spice to oak. And it's like a really quick transition through it.
Yeah, that's over the span of 5 seconds.
Yeah,
it's really not much.
Because once it goes down, you still feel like a little bit of like...
It's definitely pleasant though.
Oh no, without a doubt. Like
at $20 it's solid. But you're also getting what you pay for. It's gonna lack complexity, it's gonna lack strength, a long finish.
Find me any single thing below $20 that has what you're describing.
I know, but I'm saying like you're getting what you pay for.
Yeah, at this point you're basically just paying for taste. And it's good taste for a sub $20 bottle.
It's a decent little sipping whiskey if you want something to not even think about.
Yeah, you can mix this. You can sip it if you wanted to.
Because we're sitting here sipping it right now, and I have no problem sipping it.
No, if you're on a budget and like you just want something to sip on every day, this is one of the best things I think you can get below $20. And I know that we have that as a lineup, but if I had to put other things below $20 that stack up, I would say it's this. Mellow corn, after tasting it, definitely stacks up.
In terms of flavor, for sure.
Old Tub definitely stacks up as well.
But even that one, like, I hesitate to say they compete because they're from the same. They're both Jim Beam.
Well, that one's more if you want like Jim Beam.
A little bit more warmth, a little bit of the classic Jim Beam peanut flavor.
Yeah, like that's like the heart and soul.
Unfiltered.
Yeah, it's like that's like their original whiskey that they ever made. Right. Like whatever.
You're getting it's the least refined that you can get in terms of like they didn't change anything. Like this, the double oaking takes away that's why it doesn't taste anything like regular Jim Beam. The double oaking is what makes this decent.
Yes, like it takes away a lot of like the aggressiveness.
Old Tub is good on its own.
Old Tub is like that is like the heart of Jim Beam because that's what they used to make. Like it's bathtub bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
It's the original recipe.
That's where the name comes from. Quite literally, it's from a bathtub.
It's like the first product they ever made. They went back to the original recipe, original yeast strain, and like, it's Jim Beam. Like at its core. And it
stacks up still.
And it's good, and it's cheap. This is more like you take...
And it's back as a regular product in PL, although the price might go up slightly.
That's fine with me, I don't care.
Even at $20, it'd be a solid buy. We could get it at 17 here.
I think that my max that I would spend on that is probably $25. I think that would be my max because
I could probably
I'd agree on that. Yeah.
Because at that point, like for $10 more, I could buy Knob Creek, and it's not. I couldn't
justify not just spending a couple more bucks at that.
Yeah, I would just spend the extra money at that point on Knob Creek.
But below that, like the only thing I would alternate buying is Old Tub and Larceny, but it depends on what I want.
Well, yeah. Larceny. How much is Larceny now?
26 or 27.
Okay, so it's.
I would spend if I want a nice mellow weeder, I would spend $2 more if Old Tub were at that price.
Yeah.
But
anyways, Yeah, I can't say anything bad about it because the price point is right, the flavors are right.
Right. Like, keeping the price point in mind is what makes this as good as it is, too.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to find better. Especially a double oak. This is by far the cheapest double oak we have.
Mm-hmm. And double oaking for them basically turns it into, like, more of a traditional bourbon almost, I would say.
Right, because regular Jim Beam it's a standard, but it's a low standard.
Yeah.
This takes that low standard and makes it an actual standard bourbon. Yes. This can compare with other regular bourbons at the price range. Jim Beam cannot compare with other, like Everyone is Bottled and Bond. Regular Jim Beam does not compare.
No, not
or Ezra Brooks or Rebel Yell. It really doesn't compare with any of those. But double oak it or make it 100 proof like the old tub and change the recipe and the yeast strain and everything. And all of a sudden, now it competes.
Yep.
So this is them giving the people who want it to compete with that something.
Yeah.
And I remember when it came in as a brand new thing that wasn't necessarily going to be a permanent product, and now it is. And I'm glad it is. It's only been on the PA market for 2 years.
And it's selling. Like, there's times I see that it's not on the shelf because people are buying it. And I'm
It
happy
sells
about
steadily for anyone who wants that price range and wants something good.
So anyways, like for below $20, this is one of the best buys you can probably get.
Yeah, now we're about to... I mean, everything else is about to blow this out of the water. But it's almost unfair to Jim Beam. But,
you're paying a premium after this because everything else is like $50.
The cheapest after this is 50.
Yeah.
Because the 1910's 50, the Toasted Barrel's 50, Double Oak is almost 60. The Knob was what, either 50 or 60?
I think it was 45.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that one might be the cheapest.
That one might be the cheapest.
But
that's also a rye, so that's a little bit different too.
Yeah.
But so this, I might be partial. At least in my experience, from what I can remember, this is probably my favorite double oak that I've had. I hate that it's super hard to get, but I love that it's come around more than once now.
I think that they're making more of it because I've heard that it's supposed to be dropping.
Yes, which is good. So
it's
this is a neck pour, so that is worth keeping in mind.
Yeah, it's a little bit toasty on the nose. Like you definitely smell a little bit more ethanol than you probably normally would. But that being said, it doesn't smell much different than the last time I had it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
you get
it's sweet.
Sweet. It's like a cinnamon. It's almost like a graham cracker.
Cinnamon, graham cracker. I'm getting some kind of like.
I got plenty of shots.
I guess walnut maybe is what I'm getting on it. I'm getting some kind of nuttiness, but it's like a fancy.
It's not like a Jim Beam nuttiness.
No, it's not peanut or hazelnut or something like vibrant.
It's not like cash. It's not like it's not like cashews or any
this is
walnuts like that. It's like a walnut or a chestnut.
Yeah, it's something. It's like one of those nuts that doesn't have a whole lot of aroma, but like it's there.
Right. Kind of reminds me of roasted walnuts almost.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
Actually.
I will never forget. I kind of ended
so like a little bit of fruit, cinnamon, graham cracker,
little vanilla,
a little bit of walnut.
Definitely brown sugar.
What was life going to be without hockey? And the national team had called and said, "Hey, we might need another goalie for tryouts."
I'm noticing it more as it's getting air. Yeah. I think that might be more. It's just coming out of it more as the ethanol.
I think so. Yeah.
Because I'm getting less of that now.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting less ethanol too. Like it has been able to breathe for a couple minutes, so it's definitely opening up more. But yeah, so much more complex than the Jim Beam.
Right. Again, I feel bad comparing the two, but they are both double oaks. You're getting what you pay for with both of these.
Your extra $30 for this goes a long way.
Yeah, we're talking more than double, so I would hope more than double quality.
The summer brown sugar is very pleasant though.
Very sweet on the up front.
Still getting cinnamon.
I get cinnamon, but not cinnamon spice. I get more like Captain Crunch cinnamon.
Right, or like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm definitely getting a little bit of marshmallow.
To have that professional leader.
Or like that sort of like smoke like s'moresy marshmallow, not just like a straight up marshmallow.
I could see that. Like
It's like the marshmallow where it gets the crispiness in the char.
Yeah.
So like slight caramelization when you show
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, caramelized marshmallow. That's a good way to say it.
Yes.
There's a reason the tasting notes tend to be s'mores in a bottle because I'm definitely getting the elements of it.
Yeah, because you get that, you get a little bit of brown sugar. There's not a whole lot of caramel because it's all these other sweet flavors of like sweet cinnamon.
Right, you're getting caramelized flavor. You're not getting caramel flavor.
Yeah. So it's like the sweet cinnamon.
You don't really get any of the fruit.
No, you don't. There's not really any fruit, and there's no nuttiness on it either.
Right, the finish is definitely.
The finish I get cocoa nibs again, and I also get like a little bit of cinnamon spice rather than like sweet cinnamon.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a kick to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an entire or like even like a burnt sugar.
Yeah, burnt sugar might be a good way to describe it as well.
Because it's I don't know that it's necessarily distinctly cinnamon. It almost has like a cinnamon flavor a little bit, but it doesn't have like the right texture or complexity to it. It definitely has that char that makes it almost feel more like a burnt sugar than a straight cinnamon.
Like it has a little bit of oak spice at the end. Like it doesn't have any heat at all. There's no heat on it.
And at 94 proof, it's like pleasantly mild.
Yeah, this drink's like it's an 80 proofer, but it has the flavor of like its actual proof point.
It's an 80 proof that has enough flavor that you don't think about.
Yeah.
The fact that it tastes lighter because there's so much flavor to it.
Because it does have the.
You do get at least I'm getting a little bit of warmth that lingers, but nothing. It doesn't have really a bite to it.
No.
See, I feel like the warmth fades much quicker than
It does.
some of the others.
For me, it faded, and on my second and third sip, it kind of comes back and kind of lingers a little longer.
I don't get much linger. To me, like it feels like it follows wherever it goes. So like it hits the back of my throat, and then it follows down.
Right. That's probably what I'm feeling, but that's definitely what I'm feeling actually.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about that like. The fact that the cinnamon you get on the nose is very graham cracker, more than it is straight like cinnamon or cinnamon, like graham cracker cinnamon toast crunch. And then the fact that there's that little bit of that charred or crispy marshmallow, I don't get that in any of the other double oaks I think I've ever had. And that little nuance is why I like this so much, because it just adds that thing that I want this to have.
I'm definitely appreciating this more the second time I've had it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that statement.
Because the first time I had it, like I'm like, this is like kind of, it wasn't what I was expecting from a double oak. But now that I'm having it again, like you get the caramelized marshmallow at the front, you get a little bit of brown sugar in the middle, but the front's like the vanilla, the toasted marshmallow, the sweet cinnamon.
It's a textbook sweet bourbon.
And then in the middle, like it transitions into like the burnt sugar, a little bit of barrel char, and then I get cocoa
a little
nibs.
bit of cocoa, cinnamon spice.
Yeah, like I understand why people are saying this is like a s'more now, because it does follow the transition pretty well between the nose being graham crackery and then you get
the marshmallow and then cinnamon and the little bit of a spice and char to it. Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me.
And a little bit of chocolate, yeah.
Which reminds me, the next camp out that I do when we have a fire and make s'mores, I need to get cinnamon graham cracker, not just plain honey graham crackers.
Yes, you do.
See, last time my family did s'mores, we couldn't find any graham crackers in stores because it was lockdown, and for some reason that means people were buying graham crackers. So I actually had to look up a recipe and handmade graham crackers at home. That's how much I wanted to make s'mores.
I was going to make one video.
I can already know where it's going. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know where it's going.
So can I.
Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. Yeah. It's at $50, I will continue to buy this.
I will buy this in a heartbeat.
It's one of those ones where I think for an Elijah Craig product, it's my favorite Elijah Craig product, and once it becomes readily available, it's the one I'm going to keep picking up. Because this is significantly better than regular Elijah Craig.
Mm-hmm. I do like regular Elijah Craig as a daily sipper. It just doesn't have the complexity and the interesting flavor that this one does. It's a good, cheap, or $30 daily sipper versus this is a whole other ballpark of complexity.
Because Elijah Craig makes great products, and I think that their basic product is... It's one of those ones where it's like your particular product and your particular daily sipper. For me, that's Knob Creek.
Right. That's where palate comes in, where
Yes.
it kind of, like, it wouldn't be my daily sipper because again I pick a weeded like Makers or Larceny, but it's good daily sipper quality for that price range.
And that being said,
Slightly higher rye.
Elijah
High
Craig's other products like the Toasted Barrel, the Barrel Proof, absolutely fantastic. They are just not easy to fucking find anymore.
That's why, because they're that good and there's not a ton of it yet. And you know, when something is super, super hard to find, I do hesitate to immediately buy into that hype. I'm glad I bought into this one. I actually bought into this one before people really started buying it because it showed up and it sat on our shelves for a bit.
Yep.
I bought it the day it came in just off the tasting notes. And I literally got to watch this in the barrel proof take off. And I can see why.
Yeah, no, I was there that day and I saw the Toasted Barrel and I'm like, nah, I'll get it some other time.
And then it was gone.
Well, this was before I realized how... Well, this was also before bourbon boomed and how chaotic it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, since... I think it was like September that, like...
It was really, really took off.
Like, it was growing pretty exponentially, and then for some reason it shot up in September.
Just hit an asymptote. We're going straight up.
I don't know why, but it did.
But
I'm
this is
not
delicious.
convinced He's not
Yeah,
a
no, this... Until Barrel Proof
I
comes
have
back, I can't really
considered
compare it, but yeah, this is...
But I'm seeing
Great.
some of the traits.
Nice.
So yeah, here's Old Forester Double Oak.
I love the smell of this one. It's... I get a ton of bubble gum. I get a ton of...
It's like it's like the bubble gum that you would get in like a roll. Like that
Yes.
kind of bubble gum.
Yes.
Yes.
Like Hubba Bubba or whatever
Yeah.
it's called.
Yeah. I also
I get a little banana.
I get a little bit of banana, but not nearly as much as people say, because I
Right.
get more cherry.
You get more banana and there's stuff that isn't double oak.
Yeah.
Because that's traditional of
Old
right off the bat
Forester.
Old Forester.
Well, actually, anything from Brown Foreman actually has a pretty strong banana note, except for Woodford. Like Jack Daniels, fuck ton of banana. Old Forester, most of their products have a good banana note to them.
Yeah, this one, the double oak is what I think gets rid of it.
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
Or
I mean-
got mutes it rather.
You get some candy banana, but like bubblegum,
It's
I
not.
get
It's not like true. Yeah, it's like almost like Laffy Taffy.
yeah. And then I get cherry too, which also overpowers the
I did
banana.
it cherry.
And then I don't get any typical bourbon notes just because it's
No,
like
not
such
really.
a
It's so
candy
fruity.
note. It's such a fruity candy nose. Like
It smells like it's going to be sweet and fruity.
honestly, I smell some juicy fruit too. Like if I'm thinking about it, like
Oh,
juicy fruit
yes,
gum.
definitely.
Yeah.
Man, I miss juicy fruit shit.
You can still get it. Like,
I know you
it's
can
everywhere.
still get it. I just...
He just moved on to adult juicy fruit, which is called cigars.
No, that's a different kind of satisfaction. Anyways, no, this is the most...
Ryan's over there feeling attacked.
My crippling nicotine addiction and alcoholism are hitting you at the moment.
I'm sorry,
They're
do you
hating me
ever
too.
not feel attacked when you come over here?
No.
But
We all make bad decisions. If I told every story about bad decisions I make, we'd be here all night.
Wait, hold
And
on, so
the
you're a
rest of the week.
masochist then, because you
My
keep
entire
coming
life.
over here.
Absolutely.
But anyways, this has
You
the
knew
most
that.
That was not a surprise, it was just
non-double
for
oak
us.
nose of any.
You knew
you don't
that.
get
I'm
any of the
building a
traditional
case so
oak
it's
or
airtight.
vanilla or anything like that.
Bitch,
No,
your
it's-
case already
it's-
airtight.
You've got a confession already. Got like 3 of
I
them.
said there's like 5 fucking videos where it's just...
We should keep turning up the volume so we can hear ourselves over that.
What, are you saying your viewers don't want to hear about Ryan's masochism?
No, no, just me.
You're gonna have to say it slower.
Say it slow so I can watch your wrist while you say it.
I both love and hate that statement.
Back to Old Forester.
That is very, very light.
I don't get light because it's chewy to me. This is really chewy, but it's not, there's no burn at all.
There's no burn. It's not really like the nose too much at all.
No, like the flavor is like caramel, brown sugar.
Almost more. It's more what I expect out of the double oak.
Yeah, the nose is completely different from the body because like the body is actually traditional bourbon, just amplified all the sweets in it.
Yep.
There's also really not much fruit on the taste.
There's a little bit of the spice. I still get a little bit of like the sort of Laffy Taffy banana.
A little
Still a
bit.
little bit, but that's because it's Old Forester,
Yeah.
and I definitely have noticed that in their products. But it's not. It's definitely muted still. It's the other sweet notes like the vanilla, the
Yeah.
brown sugar, the cinnamon. a little bit.
Vanilla, brown sugar, morphs a little bit into cinnamon spice. You get a little bit of barrel char at the end. Then you get a little bit of that, like, it's not tannic at all. Like, this one's actually more milk chocolate on the finish, I think, than it is cocoa nibs. Because it's not nearly as bitter.
It's almost like a low sugar, like milk chocolate too.
Yes.
It's not just like it doesn't taste straight up like there's actual
semi-sweet chocolate is, I think, is the best way to put it.
Semi-sweet, yeah.
But
where it's almost like they're in the process of making milk chocolate. If you were to taste it, like once it's kind of there, but they haven't added the sweets and anything like that, that's the flavor I get.
Yep. It's very creamy, very, like, it's light, but it's not thin. It's chewy.
Right.
But, like, there's no heat to this.
No.
You get a little bit of warmth in your chest, but that's about it. And it honestly, this is probably tied for my favorite double oaked right now. I still have to get Garrison Brothers Balmerea.
Yeah.
I really want to try that.
So, if it tasted more like the nose, I think this would be my favorite. Right now, it's good. I'd buy it.
Yes.
I would keep it on my shelf. But it would honestly be number 3 for me, behind the Toasted Barrel, then very closely behind is the Woodford, and then this. I think. But that's just based off what I've tried.
For me personally, it's tied with Woodford Double Oak, and this is the first time I'm having Woodford Double Oak in a while. I opened this bottle back in April, I think, and I haven't touched it too much, even though I thoroughly enjoy it.
Right.
I don't know. Honestly, I could not tell you why I haven't touched it that much, because I really do enjoy Woodford Double Oak.
Just been in the mood for other things.
I guess so. Because there is some, like, it is a very unique whiskey by itself, too. It has a couple of notes that makes it stand out.
I definitely get a little more of the brown sugar.
Yeah.
The second sip. Brown sugar, a little bit more barrel char. It definitely had a little bit more heat right at the start, but it sort of mellowed out.
Yeah, I still just get that warmth at the end.
Yeah, I do get the warmth, but I got a little bit more heat at the start. But again, it's worth noting that my taste buds are fucked.
Yeah.
Or at least half my tongue is fucked. So that might have something to do with it. But
possible.
That might explain why I can tolerate the heat more too. But like hotter or like 2-year, 3-year whiskeys, that might be why I can tolerate them a little bit better.
I really do not like young whiskey. That's why I can't do anything but shit on Wiggle. I hate Wiggle so much.
They're coming out with an aged one soon. It's a 4 or 5 year at least, so that might be worth a try.
As long as it's bottled in bond, I'm willing to give it a shot. But the problem is that PA I don't think has the climate to make proper whiskey.
Right.
Because
they make some good stuff, but it's usually good in a different way than a Kentucky bourbon.
Because New Riff, after trying it again, is significantly better. Like, basically, the further south you go for craft, the better it is. Like, look at Garrison Brothers and Balcones. Like,
the fact that they age their shit for no time at all, and it comes out amazing.
Yeah, they age it for less than 4 years, but because it's so fucking hot down there that
the climate does wonders on it.
Yes. Like Garrison Brothers, it's a little bit bitter because of the tannins, but it's also some of the sweetest bourbon you'll ever try.
I am liking this more with every sip, to the point where it's still third for me out of the 3, I think, but it's a lot closer.
I think this is one of those ones where when it becomes regular, it's going to be a staple for me. It's hard for it to be a staple because I have to go to Ohio to get it. That's why I'm nursing that bottle. I actually don't think I've touched it since the last time I was...
So I'm careful with the 1920. I only have a drink every once in a while.
And that 1920 is fucking fantastic, too.
One of these times, we'll have to introduce Ryan to the 1915.
We'll give it a shot for sure. I mean, I'm more inclined to do that now that I have another bottle.
I was gonna say you haven't even
I
had
haven't
1910,
so
the 1915 is half and half.
Yes, I'm aware. Logically speaking.
Well, if you would let
I don't do
finish,
that very often.
sir.
I don't do it very often.
Logically you let me finish and then also complete my sentence.
You can only choose one.
Oh.
Alright, my sentence is done.
That being said, I really hope they release a 1930, aka a cask strength.
The Great Depression?
Double Oak.
Oh, I thought you were just doubling the 1915.
No, adding 1910 and
doubling the 1915 is like almost 4,000 there, fam.
I'm talking about the last two digits because that's the only thing that's been important for the past few that we've discussed.
I don't know. Doubling 1897 doesn't get you 1910. But, you know.
I mean,
it was more about the logic of 1910 plus 1920 somehow became 1915.
Well, that's because we're blending half and half, so it becomes.
That's an average.
It's a mean. There you go. It's a means to an end.
What?
All right, this needs to stop.
fuck. People know dumb shit about me, so it's fine.
Anyway, Woodford
That's what
Double
you
Oak.
tell you.
So this is obviously the most readily available,
Of
more
all.
expensive double oak.
Yes. Sweet.
Sweet, cinnamon, sugar, vanilla,
I get maple,
maple.
brown sugar, vanilla.
I'm getting less cinnamon now. Maybe it was a little bit of the fact that I was getting sugar, but also getting a tiny bit of
Yeah,
ethanol just out of the pour. But
I get like the faintest cinnamon. Like if you were to put like a cinnamon sprinkle on like oatmeal or something, it's not a whole lot of cinnamon.
or like putting a little cinnamon in applesauce.
Yeah, it's
That
it's
kinda-
it's
like
faint.
a little hint.
It's faint.
Actually, I am getting strong applesauce now that you've said that. Like, not as a full scent, but the cinnamon aspect
Not
of it.
at all.
No, the
it's
cinnamon
not-
The
aspect.
cinnamon aspect.
Because my
Yeah.
mom usually makes applesauce without sugar, but with just maple syrup and cinnamon.
Yep.
I'm definitely getting more maple,
Yeah, I get a ton of maple on this one.
which
Maple.
is consistent with Woodford.
Yep. Maple, vanilla, brown sugar, trace amount of cinnamon. And that's it. Like this is all
There's
sweet.
no, you don't
fruit.
get any of the fruit. You don't get any of the oaky, any of the dry, or
No, there is nothing but sweet notes on this.
there's no
nose.
allspice. There's no nothing. It's all the sweet parts of it.
It's all sweet. There's nothing. I can't say any bad things about the nose. Like this is what I look for, like in a bourbon nose.
This is like this smells like what you expect a double oak to smell like.
Yes, I like the savory sweet notes. Those are my ideal preference. I occasionally like the fruity notes of some things. Like I can't remember. One of the bourbons I had like a serious raspberry note on the nose. I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember offhand.
But like, there's occasionally like dried fruits I like. This is one of those.
It could have actually been midsummer or midwinter.
It might have been. But yeah, like all the sweets are what I look for in this. Anyways.
Yeah, that's what for double oak.
Delicious, but yeah.
Sweet and simple. Like
Hmm?
it's a like from the beginning it's a medley of maple syrup, brown sugar, vanilla. You get a little bit more barrel char towards the
You
end.
definitely get it more toward the finish. You get a lot
Yeah.
more char. You get a little bit more of like a burnt sugar. A little bit of like.
Yeah.
You still get that maple a little bit the whole way through.
Yeah, there's maple all the way
It
throughout.
fades a little quicker than the rest of the finish does, but it's there throughout.
But yeah, like the sweets on the beginning morph into like
It's like a dry sweetness.
a dry sweet, yeah. So like barrel spice, like vanilla bean, I guess is the best way to put
Vanilla
it.
bean.
And then I get milk chocolate on the end too.
I get
Like it's not very bitter at all.
right. I get like again that sort of unrefined milk chocolate,
Yep.
where it's not milk chocolate in terms of sweetness; it's in terms of flavor.
Yeah, but with this one, there is no trace amount of fruit. It's like
There's literally nothing throughout the whole thing.
this is like nothing but sweetness, a little bit of toasted oak and barrel char
So
at
if
the
you
end.
don't like fruity whiskeys, this is a perfect one because you literally don't get any.
Yeah, there's no fruit on this at all. Like
You
it's
don't get a lot of the oak. You don't get a lot of tannic, any heat.
there's
a little
not
bit on
much
the
heat,
finish.
but there I would say I get some tannic like spice. Like you get a little bit of the tannic bitterness at the end, which is I think what makes the chocolate happen.
Right.
And there is a little bit of barrel spice, but this has the least amount of barrel spice of any of them except for Jim Beam. But that's
Jim Beam's so light that that's
Yeah.
to be expected.
yeah. Like this one, again, this is why it's tied for my favorite because it has all my favorite notes of bourbon.
Without anything else.
Yes, but the Old Forester 1910 has the most unique nose of any whiskey I've like
I
smelled.
think that while it's not my favorite, I can agree to that.
Like the juicy fruit, bubblegum, cherry, banana, taffy. Like it smells like
not
candy.
normal. That's not normal for a whiskey.
No, it smells like candy.
Yeah.
It really straight up smells like candy.
And like I said, I would like it a tiny bit more if a little bit more of it translated into the actual palate.
Yes. This one is like, you get what you smell on the nose, you get on the palate. And it's all savory.
To a T, yeah.
And it's all savory sweet, which is why
it's
I think
very,
it's my favorite.
I was going to say, it's very full. It's... it has a very strong present nose, strong palate. The finish isn't super warm, but the flavor lasts.
Yes, the flavor and finish lasts
it's there the entire way through.
And I think, honestly, after like the initial bitterness of the tail end, I get shortcake on the finish, like angel food cake almost.
I can almost see it. It almost has a kind of spongy texture to it, too.
Like, after you get, like
light and fluffy near the end, where it's full throughout the whole thing.
Like, remember on the Knob Creek 15 year, whenever I said I get coconut, not on the finish, but on, like, the after finish? Mm-hmm. I'm getting shortbread on the after finish of this.
I can see that. To me, I get that, and I get a little bit more of the... It almost transitions more to, like, an actual milk chocolate. With like a finish, like a chocolate bar.
Yep.
I get a little bit more of that as it lingers. But it's not on the regular finish. It lasts a while before it actually really starts to show up.
I'm really glad we did this lineup because I think I'm going to buy a Balmorhea with my next paycheck.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pull the trigger and do it. Plus, the website I'd be ordering from, I can get Balcones True Blue from, which is the barrel-proof version of Baby Blue.
Ooh, we need a barrel-proof corn whiskey in our lives.
Yes, we do.
That's the only type of whiskey we don't have a barrel-proof of. So we have a malt in the Abinad.
Oh, yes. Also, by the way, I found Old Elk Single Barrel Wheat Whiskey, which is the barrel-proof wheat whiskey.
Where?
Online.
How much?
$75 plus shipping.
You're changing the game here, bud.
I'm willing to take these risks in buying shit online.
I might take that risk on that Old Elk at $75 for a barrel-proof wheater.
Yes.
Yes, please.
115 proof for a wheat whiskey is something that
most wheaters aren't that high.
no.
Well, Larceny is the exception.
This isn't even a wheater. This is a wheat whiskey. They have a wheated bourbon.
Right,
I'm not talking about the wheated bourbon. I'm talking about like a pure wheat whiskey. This is like 95% wheat. Yeah.
You know how long it's aged?
I think it's MGP, so it's probably between 5 and 7 years.
Okay.
But yeah, they don't have an age statement on it because it is sourced from MGP.
I would wonder if it's reminiscent of like a barrel-proof Bernheim.
I'm hoping because I fucking love Bernheim.
Agreed. It's always the sleeper I forget about in the price range. I have it on my shelf. I always forget it's there.
I don't talk about it often because I want to keep seeing it on shelves.
Fair. But back to the double oak. This is probably the most appealing, just because it is all the sweetness without anything extra. It just amplifies the sweeter aspects of it on an already quality bourbon.
This is one of those ones that I think I would recommend to somebody getting into bourbon.
100%. Because it has that sweetness, it still has complexity, it still has like presence the whole time.
Like, of my top 5 that I would recommend to somebody brand new to bourbon, Basil Hayden's, of course, is in there. Angel's Envy, of course, is in there. This is in there. Buffalo Trace. And then, what was my 5th? It was another lighter one. Or was it? Oh, Knob Creek. I personally recommend Knob Creek just because it gives you an idea of what a higher proof can do to a whiskey.
Right.
But it's also really approachable.
That's fair. Yeah, but this sets the standard.
This really
I only like the toasted barrel better because of certain flavors it gives.
It's unique.
But this sets like when you think of the double oak, this is it.
And the thing that I like about this too is that this has probably the best mouthfeel of all of them. Like toasted barrel is a little light for my personal liking.
I was gonna say for me personally, again, the flavor makes up for it.
Yeah.
But I do agree.
The 1910 is, I personally really like how heavy it is, but Woodford Double Oak just is a perfect balance
Middle of the
flavor.
road. It's why everyone likes Buffalo Trace, like regular Buffalo Trace. It's middle of the road for what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
But it's good quality, and it's at the right price point.
Yes.
Like, this is phenomenal at this price, just like Buffalo Trace, regular Buffalo Trace, is really good at the price it's at.
Yeah. And for $5 more, it justifies the extra $5 relative to the other Double Oaks we have on this lineup.
Right, if you're just getting into this.
Yeah.
Again, like, as you get into it more, that's when you notice the nuances where you almost like the 1910 more. I almost like or I definitely like the Toasted Barrel a little bit more.
Yeah, the Toasted Barrel for me is personally number 3. I understand your appeal for it, but it doesn't hit me the same way 1910 or Double Oak does.
Right.
That being said, I don't know why I haven't touched this in so long. I forgot how good this was.
Right. I drink it every once in a while, but I try to milk it. Huh?
I also have a store pick tucked away of it. Yes.
And you're letting me know of this now?
I was going to wait to let you know until I killed off that bottle.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
Alright, so this one's a little different because this is a double oak rye. This is the only double oak rye in our lineup, and it's 100 proof, so it's also the strongest one in our lineup.
People consider this a shelf turd, but I still enjoy it for what it is.
Does not smell like a rye.
No, but
a lot of rye notes.
It's the driest of anything that we've smelled so far.
Yeah, but it's
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Take that lead.
I love this Berry Cabinet. Holy fuck.
Right? When he's in his zone, he's in his zone. But
it's less sweet.
This one is where you get a dry sweetness on the nose, not just on the palate.
Yeah, but like it still has a ton. It has a ton of vanilla on the nose.
Vanilla,
brown sugar,
little oak,
and then just spice.
Tiny bit, and the spice is like you can't pick out individual types of rye spice. It's just rye spice.
I would just say baking spice at that point. Like,
yeah,
that's the
or
best
like allspice, like something like kind of in there. That you can't really place it, or it's a more generic smell, but it's definitely some sort of rye spice.
And it's not like, none of these flavors are sweet. Like, there's a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of oak, a little bit of brown sugar, but they're not super sweet.
Right. It's like, again, almost like a vanilla bean or burnt sugar.
Yep.
But definitely get more of a bite on the palate.
Yep. On the front end, it is sweet. You get like caramel and brown sugar on the front end, and vanilla. There's a ton of vanilla.
And it's almost like, I don't want to say it's a cinnamon, it almost feels like a more cinnamon. We just scored again! What the fuck? What the fuck?
Wow, someone just sort of changed their mindset on the Penguins right now, because shit just changed.
Wow. Is that Crosby?
Yep.
Good. Anyways,
yeah.
This is
so
like the finish is also a lot sweeter than it is spicy, but there's a lot of spice on the palate that's really interesting. That it doesn't last too long, and it's not like a super spice. It's not a bitey rye. It's not like a dill forward or like like an herbal spice kind of rye. It's a very baking spice, cinnamon, allspice, clove, like that kind of.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of does remind me of Maker's Mark without the heat.
It does. Yeah, actually, it kind of does because you have a little bit of that bite. You have the sweetness that would normally come from Maker's Mark using winter wheat.
Yeah.
But having that signature bite because it's wheated, but it's still got rye in it.
Yep. Like
this does remind me of that without the heat.
It's unique for sure. Like front end, I get vanilla and brown sugar. And then it morphs into a ton of baking spice, like cinnamon, like cinnamon.
There's not a ton of heat either. This is also another warm one.
It's warm, but it's also 100 proof, so the warmth is understandable.
Right, but it's very easy drinking.
Yes.
For the warmth you get, you'd expect there to be more heat than there is.
Mm-hmm. And
that's not a bad thing. That means that this is like. It's very complex flavor-wise. The heat doesn't overpower anything.
No, not at all. But the thing, too, that after the rye spice goes away, it just leaves a ton of vanilla on the back end, which 100%. I really like.
Ton of vanilla, still a little bit of sugar, tiny bit of oak char, just a little bit in the warmth, but I think that's what's giving it the warmth that lingers, is the little bit of char.
Yep. I love this stuff. I don't know why it got so much hate, but personally, I really like it because it's different.
It probably got hate because you buy it hoping for a rye, and you really this is nowhere near a traditional rye.
It's too sweet.
It's too middle of the road between a bourbon and a rye for a lot of people, but I would buy this.
For $45 too, yeah. No, I would definitely buy this again. The problem is I don't know if I'm ever.
This is almost what I want the Angel's Envy rye to be. I wish they would double barrel it instead of rum casking it.
Honestly, that's a possibility.
Or if Angel's Envy did something like this, it would be a hit, and I would like it.
Mm-hmm.
I would buy it. But this is...
It's different.
I haven't had anything like this, aside from, obviously, I had tried this at one point before, but that was easily 6 months ago.
Yeah. And that was also a neck pour. You and I both.
That was a neck pour, and that was before our palates were near what they are now.
Yeah. Like, I thoroughly enjoy this. Knob Creek, again, did an excellent job. There's not a Knob Creek product I don't like.
The more I'm sipping it, I'm getting almost a cocoa. Just a little bit. But it's like it's straight cocoa, it's not chocolate. And I was getting the tiniest bit of dill that disappeared very quickly.
I think that's like a double oaked thing. Like, I think that the oak tannins, as long as they're done right, will transition into like a cocoa or chocolate. Because we've seen what oak tannins can do poorly to a whiskey. Looking at you, Widow Jane. Fucking Widow Jane.
I'm not gonna mention any names. Widow Jane is a horrible whiskey.
Widow Jane fucking sucks. I don't know why people rave about it. It fucking sucks.
It's not bottom shelf, but it's not $70 by any stretch of the imagination.
If I could water
drink that fucking every day of the week over fucking Widow Jane.
If I had to pick a $70 bottle, I think out of anything that I could get for $70, with the exception of Stag Junior, because I can't count that. It's way too different. I'd pick the Thomas More experiments that I've had.
Oh yeah.
For $70. Maybe an Elijah Craig barrel proof.
Elijah Craig barrel proof is cheaper technically.
65, but still. This at MSRP or at PA prices and Ohio prices at 65 to 70.
For 70, I might have to go with Maker's Mark Private Selects.
That's fair. I guess
and that's
for me
the
that
challenge
would
for me.
Yeah.
Because
as you know, I'm a big Maker's Mark fan as well.
Yeah.
I think
because anything that
if I want a daily sipper in that price range, I would pick the Private Select for sure. If I want the Thomas Moores, just give me something unique that I don't want to not have now.
And that's the thing about Private Selects too, is that they're all different because they're all different oak stave finished. And
that's why I want the new wood finish.
And that's the other thing too about Maker's Mark, is that Maker's Mark only gets better the higher you increase the proof.
Yep.
Like 90 proof is sweet, but it's really hot. 101 is like more flavorful but less sweet, but still really hot. Somehow their cask strength offerings tone down the heat tremendously.
Yeah, it's really it's just because when you it has to be something.
It has to be the fact
in the process about watering down something weeded.
It's got to be for some reason the heat sticks around while the flavor is diluted. I don't know what that is. Like, I understand.
It could be any number of variables.
Yeah, like, I'm not experienced enough in whiskey chemistry to know why that happens.
Right.
But either way, their cask strength offerings are significantly better than their anything below their cask of. They shoot for 110. It usually ends up between 107 and 109. But anything below that is just too hot.
I was gonna say my 110 is delicious.
Oh yeah.
And I will consistently try to find a higher proof one. But I've had good experiences with the 108 and the 109 too.
Yeah.
Because again, they make it to taste.
Yeah.
Which is good. It might have a tiny bit more heat because obviously it's not going to be consistent perfectly.
Yeah.
But
they
get the flavor perfect every time.
The only thing I can say about Maker's Mark now is just that I don't think I'm going to buy their standard products anymore.
I think I just will as a good mixer.
Maker's Mark Standard is a phenomenal mixer, and I'll still buy it to make as a mixer.
And it'll make like it's a good mixer with Coke or whatever, but it also still makes a solid old fashioned.
It does. And the thing that I like about it too is that whenever you make a cocktail out of it, you still get that little bit of booziness. Because if you use like,
you get a little bit of that signature spice that that bite that they get,
which is kind of what I want whenever I drink a
which is
mixer
also
or a
why I'm
cocktail.
knowing how the Knob Creek rye is. I'm interested. Like it surprises me that this has very few characteristics of their traditional rye.
Mm-hmm.
The double oaking it does so much to it in terms of transforming it almost to like a high rye bourbon more than a rye.
Well, you do have to remember that, like, I'm pretty sure, like, they haven't released it, but everybody is pretty confident that it's a barely legal rye.
Right. Same with Woodford.
Yeah.
Woodford openly says that all of their rye, their wheat, their malt are all 51% of those and 49% corn. They know exactly, or maybe it's slight malted barley, but they know.
There's probably 5% malted barley. Everybody.
And the ones that are
uses
not
5.
the malt. The malt is 49% corn.
Yeah.
That I know for a fact.
Yeah.
Or almost a fact.
At that point.
Well, there might be a tiny bit of rye in there, but I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I'm pretty sure that's 51.49.
And I'm glad that you haven't bought a bottle of that yet, because I feel like you can get that at a couple different whiskey bars before you buy it. Try it before you buy it. Because Woodford is one of those
That
brands.
and the Long Branch. Like I do want to try this. I want to see how I like the smokiness before I actually bite on it.
Are you willing to go to a cigar bar?
Yeah.
All right, I know a cigar bar that has it,
Okay.
and I think
That
it's.
sounds like that would pair. That sounds like a whiskey too. That would pair very well with a cigar to begin.
When are we going?
Wow, you just invited yourself to.
Hell yeah, I did. That's
He
fucking
smokes
awesome.
cigars. I'm down.
Yeah,
I love
he
cigars.
smokes cigars. I don't smoke them really. I smoke cheap ones, but I can appreciate good ones. So
Yeah, honestly, dude, a $5 cigar can be just as good as a $20 cigar, depending on what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like CAO Brasilia is one of my favorite cigars. If you buy it in bulk, it can be as cheap as $3 a stick. It's one of my favorites.
Even like I buy like one, like my dad and I buy like variety packs online. Like,
Oh yeah, no.
$20 for 20 cigars, and they're like not bad. I mean, like they're not great. Like I've had a lot, but I have legitimate Cuban cigars in my humidor at home, but like
Dominicans are just as good, if not better.
that.
Dominicans are just as good, if not better.
here, just to bring it back for 1 second before we continue. Knob Creek Rye. I mean, it's interesting that it's not so much different than everything else we tried.
It's different than a Knob Creek product, but no, it's not that much different from everything else we've tried.
Right. Because the double oak has more influence than it being a rye, which is really interesting.
Double oaking just adds nothing but sweetness, vanilla.
That's why it's.
oak.
I mean, it makes the Angel's Envy make more sense. That it's a rye that was finished for a while in rum cask, and it took on so much more rum
Yep.
that overpowered the rye. It makes sense that double oakingness takes on a lot more of that traditional sweet bourbon notes that mostly overpower the rye.
Yep.
But at what? Let's overestimate and say it was like $50, $55.
Yep.
Worth it, 100%.
Without a doubt.